snow and slick and icy roads. With Interstate 40 forced to shut down, that's when Wrecker Rick and his crews went to work.
Almost everyone has seen Wrecker Rick by now. He's the bearded truck rescuer from northern Arizona, famous for dragging massive vehicles out of ditches with monster machines that carry names like Hellboy. Video after video racks up millions of views, showing him pulling stranded families to safety during brutal snowstorms, hauling broken down semis off Interstate 40, and turning recoveries that look impossible into something that feels effortless. From the outside, Rick Murphy seems to have it all figured out. Multiple shop locations, a fast-growing YouTube channel, custom-built wreckers that turn heads, a family-run business that looks powered by loyalty, hard work, and diesel fuel. But what most people scrolling past his videos never notice is the price that comes with being that person. The phone calls that ring at 3 in the morning, the recoveries that push the body to its limits, and the moment when danger stops being something you talk about and turns into something standing right in front of you. This is the story you don't see when the cameras are off. It started with a storm that refused to let up. In March of 2024, northern Arizona wasn't just dealing with a little snow. This was the kind of blizzard that slowly piles one problem on top of another until everything collapses. Over 2 feet of snow buried the region, falling fast and heavy with winds strong enough to erase tire tracks almost instantly. Interstate 40 never stood a chance. Once it closed, the fallout spread everywhere. When a major highway shuts down, it doesn't just delay people, it traps them. Truck drivers trying to stay on schedule, families heading home, travelers who trusted their GPS and were sent down back roads never meant to handle winter traffic, let alone a storm like this. That's when Rick's phone rang. Cars were stranded near Ash Fork and Williams, not just a few, enough to make it clear this wouldn't be quick. So Rick did what people know him for. He went. At first glance, it didn't look too bad. A handful of cars off the road, drivers who underestimated the weather, the kind of winter recovery Murphy's Diesel had handled many times before. On paper, it seemed routine, but it didn't stay that way. The situation kept growing. Every time Rick and his crew cleared one group of vehicles, another group showed up behind them. Sometimes 15 cars, sometimes nearly 20. All of them had followed GPS reroutes straight into deep snow with no real way out. The roads were misleading. From far away, they looked drivable. Up close, tires sank. Cars got stuck on their frames. Engines overheated while wheels spun helplessly. Rick later said the situation wasn't just chaotic or messy. He called it astronomical. That kind of moment forces you to stop thinking about fixing everything and start focusing on limiting the damage. Over the next 40 hours, Rick pulled close to 30 vehicles out of snowbanks and ditches. And that number matters because those 40 hours were continuous. No real sleep, no proper meals, no meaningful breaks, just one recovery after another in freezing conditions. Inside those stranded vehicles were people who weren't just annoyed. Some had been stuck for hours before help arrived. Some had kids wrapped in blankets in the back seat. Others watched their fuel gauges drop while calculating how long the heater could stay on. Fear doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's someone forcing calm while panic sits just under the surface. Here's what most viewers never fully understand. Murphy's Diesel is contracted by law enforcement to clear major highways. That work is planned and paid for. There's a system in place. What Rick was doing on those back roads wasn't part of that system. Those rescues weren't covered by the state. They weren't reimbursed. Every mile driven, every pull of the winch, every gallon of diesel came straight out of Rick's pocket. His trucks, his equipment, his crew, his risk. And when people tried to pay him, he refused. Not for attention, not for show, just because the work needed to be done. When someone insisted, he passed that money along to help the next stranded driver. Some of the weekend was caught on camera, but filming wasn't the priority. Most of the time, there wasn't even space to think about it. Vehicles were piling up faster than they could be recovered, and the weather wasn't improving. What 40 straight hours in a blizzard does to a person isn't something you see on YouTube. Exhaustion sneaks in quietly, reaction times slow without warning, fingers lose feeling, decisions become less sharp. In heavy recovery work, those small changes can be dangerous. Rick wasn't pulling lightweight cars out of shallow snow. He was running heavy equipment under extreme tension, winch lines stretched tight, vehicles shifting weight unpredictably. One small mistake can turn a recovery into an accident in seconds. A snapped winch line leaves no room for luck. Rick knew that better than most, and he kept going anyway, because stopping meant leaving people out there while conditions got worse. From the outside, Murphy's Diesel looks like a simple success story. Started small, worked hard, grew fast, went viral, the end. But that version skips the real story. Rick and his wife Nikki started Murphy's Diesel back in 2014. There were no investors waiting and no safety net underneath them. All they had was mechanical skill, long hours, and a habit of saying yes when others said no because the job looked too hard or inconvenient. In the beginning, it was basic diesel repair, fixing trucks, keeping customers moving. Then came towing, then heavier towing, then recoveries most shops avoided. Nothing followed a perfect plan. One shop became 2, then 3. Diesel repair blended into towing. Towing turned into heavy recovery. Heavy recovery led to fabrication and custom builds. Each step happened because the work demanded it. And long after the cameras stopped rolling, that work still does. At some point, Murphy's Diesel quietly outgrew its small-town roots and became something much bigger. What started in northern Arizona began drawing attention from far outside the region. People love to measure success with big numbers, and you'll hear estimates placing the company's value between $2 and $5 million. On the surface, that sounds like a win, but that number means very little until you understand what sits behind it. 3 locations don't equal easy money. They mean 3 leases, 3 sets of utility bills, 3 payrolls, and 3 insurance policies. Heavy recovery insurance alone is brutally expensive. This is not low-risk work. 1 serious accident, 1 injured employee, 1 lawsuit. That's all it takes to put years of progress in danger. The equipment tells an even clearer story, and it's where most outsiders completely lose perspective. Rick's most recognizable truck, known as Hellboy, didn't come off an assembly line. Its life began as a 1969 Peterbilt 352. From there, everything changed. The frame was shortened, axles were replaced with military-grade hardware, a custom mast was built, multiple Warrior winches were added because one cable simply isn't enough when extreme weight meets unstable terrain. On screen, Hellboy looks almost mythical. In real life, it exists out of necessity. Some recoveries cannot be handled by standard trucks, no matter how skilled the operator is. When vehicles are buried, flipped, or stuck in positions that defy logic, you either have the right machine or you leave the scene empty-handed. Rick built Hellboy to make sure walking away wasn't the default outcome. That power comes at a cost every single time the truck moves. Fuel disappears fast. Maintenance is constant. Specialized parts wear down and aren't easy to replace. When Hellboy is used for rescues that don't pay, those expenses don't magically disappear. They land squarely on the business. Many assume YouTube fills the gap. Ad revenue, sponsorships, easy money. Reality is far less stable. Online income shifts without warning. Algorithms change. Ad rates fluctuate. Viewer habits move on. One platform update can cut revenue overnight. Rick understands that you can't build a real-world recovery operation on something that unpredictable. That's why Nikki plays such a critical role behind the scenes. While Rick is out recovering vehicles, modifying trucks, and filming when time allows, Nikki keeps everything from falling apart. She schedules jobs, handles customer calls, orders parts, manages payroll, tracks expenses, and makes decisions that affect both the company and their family. Running a business with your spouse erases any clean separation between work and life. Stress follows you home. Problems don't clock out. Every choice affects employees, customers, and the people closest to you. Expansion brings pressure few talk about. More trucks require more drivers. More drivers mean more training, more oversight, and more opportunities for something to go wrong. In heavy recovery, a single mistake by one person can carry lifelong consequences. Rick isn't just responsible for completing jobs, he's responsible for making sure everyone goes home alive. Over time, Rick Murphy stopped being just another towing operator. His name became the one people mentioned when situations went bad. If a semi jackknifed on Interstate 40, Murphy's Diesel was called. If an RV slid off a mountain road after a storm, Rick's phone rang. If someone was stuck off-road in a place that made no sense, a Recker Rick video would surface, followed by the same advice: call this guy. That reputation wasn't accidental. It was built one difficult recovery at a time by showing up when others declined and finishing jobs most didn't want. But dependability comes with a price. Once people rely on you, being unavailable is no longer acceptable. The phone doesn't respect weekends, holidays, or family plans. When something goes wrong, the expectation is simple: you answer. Because Murphy's Diesel works with law enforcement, the crew often handles the aftermath of serious accidents. Overturned semis, multi-vehicle pileups, mangled wreckage spread across highways. These aren't dramatic moments made for entertainment. They are the cleanup after everything irreversible has already happened. Even the recoveries that look thrilling online carry real danger. Rick isn't improvising when he arrives on scene, he's calculating constantly. Vehicle weight, load distribution, true center of gravity, ground stability, anchor strength, line angles, line tension limits. In this line of work, mistakes don't come in small sizes. One wrong call doesn't mean an awkward clip. It means someone could be seriously injured or killed. Murphy's Diesel has seen plenty of close calls over the years, situations that escalated faster than expected, not because of carelessness, but because this work leaves almost no margin for error. Equipment fails, ground shifts, vehicles move in ways physics doesn't announce ahead of time. And still, Rick keeps saying yes. He has recovered equipment abandoned for months without charging. He has helped drivers who were stranded or overcharged after other companies turned them away. He has taken jobs that made no financial sense simply because someone needed help and there was no other option. That mindset isn't branding, it's how he's built. Over time, though, that reputation changes shape. Appreciation slowly turns to assumption. Calls come in from people who expect help to be free because that's what they've heard. Saying no stops feeling professional and starts feeling personal. That's when the weight becomes visible. You can't repeatedly pull people out of life-threatening situations and reset like it's routine. You can't run on adrenaline for days, work non-stop through brutal conditions, and walk away unchanged. Stress builds quietly, recovery after recovery, call after call. The margin for error never widens. Eventually, the danger stops feeling distant. It's no longer just about Rick getting hurt on the job. There comes a moment when the risk that usually lives out on the road moves closer to home. That moment marked a turn in the story Rick never saw coming. Rick has always accepted risk as part of the work, but there's a difference between choosing danger for yourself and realizing it's closing in on the people you love most. Then came the call about a massive truck pileup. Details were unclear, reports conflicted, emergency vehicles flooded the scene. Information arrived in fragments, impossible to piece together in real time. And at the center of that chaos was his wife. This wasn't a recovery Rick could take charge of. There was no rig to position, no cable to hook up, no plan he could execute. Nothing was broken that she could fix. For the first time, skill and experience meant nothing. In that moment, he wasn't Recker Rick. He was just a husband, standing still, waiting for news, hoping the person he loved was still alive. Truck pileups are pure chaos. Vehicles slide and shift without warning. Secondary crashes happen in seconds. Even experts with decades of training can't fully control what comes next. One instant is all it takes for everything to change. Rick had handled disasters like this countless times, but this one hit differently. Every recovery he'd ever done rushed through his mind, not because of the techniques, but because of a terrifying truth. None of it mattered if someone he loved was trapped in the wreck. He wasn't thinking about angles, weight, or tension. He was imagining outcomes he had no power to change. When emergency crews finally confirmed his wife survived, relief washed over him. She walked away shaken but alive. Still, survival doesn't erase that moment. It doesn't erase how one phone call can permanently change how you see your work. When the danger you face on the job reaches into your own home, it stays with you in a way rules and statistics never can. From then on, every call felt heavier. Every difficult recovery carried a face. Every worst-case scenario reminded Rick that the risks weren't just his anymore. They could reach his family. And that realization changes everything. You stop thinking only about machines and physics. You start thinking about people, about who could be hurt and how far the damage could spread beyond the scene. That moment also exposed a hard truth about control. No matter how skilled or prepared you are, there are times when chance decides everything. Once you experience that, you can't unlearn it. This is the part of Rick's story that makes people understand the stakes are bigger than viral videos or dramatic recoveries. The danger isn't just on the highway, it's personal, and it's closer than anyone watching might think. And that was just one call that reshaped how Rick approaches his work, adding a weight most viewers never see. Here's the uncomfortable truth no one likes to talk about. Rick Murphy is trapped by his own success. He built a business people rely on. Employees depend on it for their income. Police depend on it to keep roads moving. Drivers depend on it when all hope feels lost. Walking away isn't simple. Vacations get cut short. Family dinners get interrupted. Every ringing phone could be another crisis only he feels capable of handling. The free recoveries that made him famous now follow him everywhere. People expect them, and every yes costs money, time, and wear on a body that can't be replaced. The physical toll is real. Heavy recovery breaks you down over time. Cold nights, endless stress, long hours, danger stacked on top of danger. Rick isn't getting younger, but slowing down feels like letting people down, and his identity is built on never doing that. Even retirement wouldn't feel like freedom. It would feel like abandonment to his team, to his customers, to the community that counts on him. That's the trap. From the outside, Rick Murphy's life looks like a success story. Growing businesses, multiple locations, industry respect, a massive online following. But success doesn't mean easy. The cameras show the rescues and grateful families. They don't show the quiet conversations about burnout. They don't show the replay of close calls in the middle of the night. They don't show the moment Rick has to choose between being a father and being Recker Rick. This isn't about one tragic incident. It's about a long, quiet sacrifice. Rick Murphy has helped save countless lives, but being everyone's hero doesn't come with an off switch. The man who built Hellboy to rescue others can't escape the expectations that success created. He keeps answering the phone, keeps showing up, keeps taking the risks, because that's what Recker Rick does. And one day, he may look back and wonder what it all truly cost. The trucks get pulled out, the roads reopen, families make it home, but one question remains. Who rescues the man who's been rescuing everyone else for so long? That's the real story behind Rick from Murphy's Diesel.